Hey everybody, I'm Lynette with Potter USA. Do you love texture but feel like you're missing out because you don't have a rolling mill? Well, today I'm going to show you how to do really simple textures and up your texture game without the use of a rolling mill. All you need is a hammer, a steel surface, and some metal. So let's get started. So here I have some 18 gauge sterling silver sheet, and that's what I want to use for my earrings. And you want to make sure that you start with a piece slightly larger than whatever design you're going to use to make your earrings. In this case, I am using a pancake die from Potter USA that comes in a right and left earring shape. I just went ahead and traced around the shape with Sharpie to make sure that I have enough room when I'm cutting. And I'm going to just cut slightly larger than that area because with pancake dies you need to have excess metal on all sides in order for the pancake die to cut correctly. So I'm just sawing this out by hand with a jeweler's saw. And then after getting it all sawn out, my next step will be to go ahead and anneal. And annealing is a crucial step when texturing metal. Annealing makes the metal softer, it makes it more malleable, and it makes it easier to form. And with texturing, we really want a nice deep texture, so we want that metal to be soft and susceptible to, the force that we're going to apply to it. So I've heated it to annealing temperature. I'm just going to quench it, pickle it, rinse it, dry it, and then I'm ready to texture. Here I'm working on an anvil, but you could work on a steel bench block, and I have a hammer with a cross peen face. You can use any sort of hammer. Every hammer that you use is going to leave a different mark. Because this one has a cross peen face, it's going to stretch the metal long ways rather than in all directions. If you use a hammer with a round face, it will stretch the metal evenly in all directions. The face of this hammer is linear and perpendicular to the hammer handle, and so it's stretching the metal vertically. And you're just gonna overlap your hammer blows and hammer away at that metal, giving it a really beautiful texture. I like to use these cross peen face style hammers for texturing because I think the texture looks like ripples of water or waves, things like that. It's really beautiful when you add a patina. So I'm just going to continue doing that until I've textured the entire surface of the metal. You can see here it's all done. And it's important to pay attention to the face of your hammer. If it's polished, it's going to leave a polished finish. You can see that my metal had a slight curve to it from being stretched, and so I'm just gonna flatten it out with a plastic hammer on the steel surface. Now I'm ready to cut. You never want to anneal before you use a pancake die. You want hard metal. Hard metal is what is necessary for the pancake dies to work correctly. So I've put my hard metal in here. It's hard from me hammering it. And I'm just going to go ahead and press with the press and cut out my shapes. And then just pop them out of the pancake die. All right, so I've got my shapes here. I just need to remove these little tabs. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with my jeweler's saw and just cut each tab off. And then once I've removed the tabs, I can go ahead and file the edges of my pieces and finish them as normal with sandpaper or flex shaft bits or however you prefer to do your finishing. So I'm just going to make sure I file that area smooth where the tab was on both pieces. And so I've got my two little pieces here ready for my earrings. I need to go ahead and drill a hole in them so that I can dangle them from an ear wire. So I'm making sure that I'm using a drill bit that is larger than the wire I'll be using. For ear wires, I use 20 gauge sterling silver wire. So the hole that I'm drilling is closer to like a 16 gauge size. I don't know what drill bit number this is, but it's a couple sizes larger than 20 gauge, and that's so that my earring shapes, these little dangles, can swing freely on the ear wire and not get caught up and stuck in weird positions. So I'm just drilling those holes, and then I'm removing the burr that's left behind just with a bud burr here, just barely kind of skimming the surface to remove any sharp edges. And it leaves kind of just a nice chamfered edge. And that's it. I've just added a little bit of patina and dropped those shapes onto an ear wire, and I've got a pair of fabulous textured earrings without the use of a rolling mill. I hope you enjoyed, and show us what you make.